So the trailer for the last episode of the Walking Dead game ever has officially come out, and especially now it's the final episode, I do definitely want to talk about this trailer, because even if there are more The Walking Dead games by Skybound now, this is Clementine's last story 100%. Obviously before Skybound saved this game, Telltale Games designed this to be the last one, and a lot of you might not know this, but this game means a lot to me. Like, since I was very young, I was playing Season 1 on repeat, and then Season 2, A New Frontier, and now this. It's just become massive parts of my life. I definitely feel the need to talk about this trailer, especially because this is the absolute final episode, and so everything we've seen from Season 1, 2, 3, and now is just all gonna end. So of course we're gonna break down the trailer for episode 4, and then we're gonna predict the ending to Clementine's story. So this shot right here, I believe, is the beginning of episode 4. Unless it begins with some flashback, this is chronologically the first scene in the episode. The boat blew up and they all wake up on shore. Of course, the characters that are still alive. So if you shot Lily, you will have James in this episode, and if you let Lily live, she's going to be hostile to you only for a short while before she dies though, honestly. And of course, James is just going to be dead. Next shot we see in the trailer is this walker sneaking up on Clementine, and I think you know what I'm going to say. I think this is the walker that bites Clementine. I strongly feel that's what this walker does, but even if this walker doesn't do it, I think it will happen further down the episode. So if this doesn't happen, Clementine's still going to get bit, in my opinion, and I don't think there's anything in this game that we can do to avoid it. This would happen as soon as Clementine has woken up, so I assume there's going to be a flashback in the first part of the episode to her and Lee, or before the apocalypse, and as soon as she wakes up, she will get bit by this walker. But honestly, I think that's just what the trailer wants you to think. And then there's this shot in the trailer. I believe this is where the characters have to run to escape. I think this is a cave where they run to. Now if we zoom in, we see Clementine, AJ, and Ten, but they did release screenshots of this episode after this trailer came out on Twitter, and there's a shot with James in it, so you've got to remember, Lily will not replace James's parts, she will just permanently be bad. It's either have James or don't have James, and in the trailer we're getting the gameplay of someone in this particular cave part of the game who let Lily live. In this shot we see AJ in the cave with Clementine and James. I'm guessing we're going to spend about 20 minutes gameplay wise in this cave area, and I assume it will just be conversations, it will just be a lot of meaningful talk, possibly where James leaves us, doesn't die, he just walks off. And you'll be relieved to hear there is a shot with Ten later on in the trailer in the same place where AJ is standing, so he is in the cave with them either way. And then there's this weird shot of Minerva. I don't really get what's going on here. It looks like she's holding on to someone or dragging someone. Zoomed in, you can kind of make out she's looking behind her with one hand on her gun, one hand looking behind her, so maybe she is dragging someone. And then there's this shot. This shot goes into the next shot, and that it just shows even more walkers in the same place. But I don't really think this place is anything to worry about. There's boats here, and we've seen in the teaser trailer for this whole season anyway that they do make it to a bridge where they sit down and talk on a river, so I just think this is where that starts. I think they get away. And then it's another shot of Minerva. Like, I'm gonna get really pissed off if she kills Clementine, or this is something to do with her, because they keep threading images of her throughout this trailer. I do not care about Minerva. Like, I don't care about some random character who literally has only not even been in it for one full episode yet, so I don't know why she's being glamorized like this. Like, people like her as well. Like, I don't even care if she betrays me. Just get her out of my sight when I'm playing this game. Like, I don't care. I do not care about these stories. I care about what happens to Clementine, but the game we've been playing for fucking 7 years. She should have been killed off automatically in the episode she arrived in. No, but seriously, there's a difference between hating a character because of how well it's written, and you being so annoyed with the character because of how badly it was written. I really hope they stop this Minerva story, like, early in the episode so we can focus on Clementine more. The next shot in the trailer is Clementine lowering her hand to Violet, and of course this scene will change depending on whether you have Lewis or Violet. But honestly, I think this is the most startling shot in the trailer. If you look at how Clementine is giving Violet her hand, it's not to say, come with me, it's not to greet her. Clementine is giving Violet her hand as if to say, look. And then I remembered that scene with Lee in the first season. It's quite an iconic choice and a big part of this game. In the first season, when Lee's bit, it's something you can't avoid, and you can choose whether you want to tell the the characters if you're bit or not. And if you choose to tell these characters that you are bit, characters like Kenny begin to treat you differently. They begin to have sympathy for Lee. So I can imagine right here, you can choose whether you want to show Violet or Lewis your bite. Something else to point out is Clementine is wearing similar sleeves, if not the exact same, to Lee. So I really do think this scene is the scene where you can choose to show your bite or not. In the next shot is another shot of Minerva, and the way this is done is to make it look like she's looking at Lily and Lily's aiming at her in the trailer. Honestly, I don't think it is Lily aiming at her, and of course I don't know how this scene would work if you decided to kill Lily in the other episode. I don't think it needs analysing too much, because in the next shot exactly, we see Clementine in a similar shooting stance but in a completely different place. Before this scene switches to another, we see Clementine look up after aiming. It's like someone calls her, or she stops shooting who she's aiming at because someone else is telling her not to. In the next shot, we see a grenade get thrown near AJ and Clementine, but what's weird is the next scene they're being blown away by another grenade. The grenade in this first shot right here is in a completely different place, and the grenade that blows Clementine and AJ away is behind them. So this suggests they get ambushed, but once again I don't think Lily's soldiers are really anything to worry about. Next shot is Clementine looking down at the camera. I assume this is at AJ. There's red lights flashing. It seems like some sort of alarm or alert. Now Clementine's found her hat now, so at this point all the previous stuff in the trailer that Clementine has without her hat, she survives, and this is her with her hat, and it's not looking very good for Clementine right now. Honestly, this just looks like she's leaving someone. Like, this shot actually looks quite worrying. Like, I'm genuinely worried about this scene. But the whole red lights, like the whole vibe of this is that Clementine's leaving someone. Next shot is James holding his Whisperer mask. Now the way he's throwing this down doesn't scream to me that he's giving up, but more like he's embracing that something's over. Now this isn't the next shot, but I grabbed this from a later bit in the trailer, so I can talk about this now. James is showing some kind of wound. It looks to me like a knife wound, like he's been stabbed or scratched. Now, the way he's showing it, and with him throwing down his Whisperer mask, I do think James is infected now. Next few shots seem to be all about Lily's soldiers. Clementine kills one, and then the rest are just her soldiers against some walkers. I really don't see these people coming as much as a threat in the second half of the episode. I think they're going to get all the newest stories out of the way in the first bit, and the second half will just all be about Clementine and just saying goodbye to the franchise. Next shot is AJ and Clementine hugging Lewis. I think this is because in the cave scene, we haven't seen Violet and Lewis in those scenes yet in the trailers or the screenshots, so I do think this is the first time we will see them. Talking of Uncharted earlier on in the video, this looks really cool. This looks like an actual set piece. The next shot is the cave setting they were in is being invaded by walkers, making James even more likely to be bit. Next we see Clementine holding the doors to something. It could be the barn that we see them going in the promo picture for this episode. This cave area seems to be a big part of the episode, and I think it could become almost a mine because they seem to be in the cave for quite a lot of this episode. We see a shot of Minerva in the same place she was in the other shot in the trailer, but with a gun aimed in the same place it looks like Lily was standing. I can see Minerva killing Lily or vice versa. This part of the trailer is actually quite weird. It looks like we're playing as AJ and it is in the barn. And now we're going to talk about the shot that everyone's talking about. The final shot of the trailer is Clementine reaching for AJ's hands. I think this is either Clementine alive reaching for AJ and AJ grabs her up, or the slightly darker one is this is Clementine's walker. She has turned and this is her reaching for AJ. AJ is reaching down to try and communicate with her because he's young, and of course the one thing in the world he wouldn't have wanted is for Clementine to turn. So now I'm going to give my final predictions on what I think will happen in the final episode of The Walking Dead game. After the boats blew up in episode 3, Clementine wakes up after having a flashback and hallucinating. When she wakes up, she is bit by a walker. The main objective is to find AJ. There will be some confrontations and some conflict, but by the very end, I think you will be left with AJ and Lewis and Violet depending on how you played. If you let Lily live in episode 3, I think Lily will eventually get killed by Minerva. If you let AJ kill Lily, I think James will end up leaving Clementine later on in the episode. Whether you shot Minerva murder in episode 3 in your playthrough or not, I think she will reunite with you, Ten, and AJ, and of course Violet and Lewis by the end of the game. I think overall this episode will be a playthrough of how many characters you can get back to escape by the end of the episode. Do you remember earlier on in the video we discussed this red light and what it could mean? I guess it was an alarm of some kind or some kind of alert. Well, shortly after the first round of screenshots were shared of this episode, this screenshot came out, and if we zoom in, it appears the red light was the backlight of a car. It seems to be at the very end of this room, so if we piece together this picture of Clementine with the flashing lights and this screenshot, we can kind of paint the picture of what's going to happen. My final prediction of this episode and how it will end is Clementine will tell AJ and whoever is left in your playthrough to escape through this car, opening up the possibility of AJ having his own game after, whilst she stays here to deal with the walkers. Because from what I do think Clementine is bit in this episode, and she will sacrifice herself for the better of AJ. If we look at the achievements and the trophies you can get from this episode, the first one is called Goodbye, and it's described as you doing all you could. This could be Clementine doing all she could for her friends, such as James, or this is AJ doing all he could for Clementine. The picture for this trophy does show an arm. It looks almost identical to Clementine's hand in the trailer. The second trophy you can get is called You and Me Came Full Circle. I think Came Full Circle is directly referencing Clementine in season 1 having to leave Lee. I think AJ will have to leave Clementine. Third trophy you can get is called Promise, Said You'd Never Leave, with a picture of AJ's hand holding on to Clementine. This is of course the promise Clementine made to AJ, the promise I don't think she'll be able to keep. Next trophy is called Lost and Found. When I first saw this, when we didn't see any trailers for this episode, I did think we'd be playing as AJ on this bit. We find Clementine's hat, only to find out that she's turned at the end. But after seeing the trailer, I don't think that's how it's going to be. I think you're going to be playing as Clementine when you find Clementine's hat again, and I think it's not going to be as sad as you think. About Clementine's hat, that is. The next two trophies are for collectibles, Survivor and Home at Last. Survivor suggests Clementine could live, but Home at Last could be AJ and the characters that you saved in this episode finally being happy. And then of course the name of this episode is called Take Us Back. Take Us Back being the legendary song from season 1. I love this song. I've loved this song for so long. To see it in a episode name is really, really cool. It's just so... it's exciting that this is the last episode, but I think what this means for the story and for Clementine's character, I think this is really, really sad. So there it is, my final thoughts and predictions for the last episode of the Walking Dead game ever. I'm really excited for it, but I'm just really, really sad. I'm thinking of live streaming this on the 26th at around 4 PM UK time. So if you want to see me play it live, make sure you come along and see it. It will probably be about 12 PM US time. And the next day I'm going to upload the highlights and whole reaction video to the final episode anyway. So even if I don't live stream it, I'm definitely going to upload a video of me playing it. So let me know what you think. What do you think is going to happen in this last episode? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. I'm going to try and read all of them. Let me know what you think I got wrong from the trailer. Do you think this is all going to go down how I said? Like the video if you enjoyed it, and of course subscribe so that you are the first to hear about The Walking Dead. Good luck on your playthrough. Thanks for watching. Take us back.